All right, I'm out in the Sacred Valley in Peru. I'm attending a 5-day retreat at a place called Etnakas ayahuasca 5-day retreat. It's pretty sweet. Tonight's my last night for ceremony. There's been 3 ceremonies thus far. Yesterday was my day off to relax. I had 2 ceremonies before that, Monday and Tuesday night. Wednesday was off. Thursday is today, so tonight is my last one. Trying to figure out how much of a dose that I want to take tonight to see how crazy I want to get. But anyway, first night I took it was almost a half. It was supposed to have been a quarter, and then I took another one about an hour later. It was another quarter of a shot, and it was too much. It was out of control. I thought I was dying. It was crazy. It was about 5.5 hours of just wacko craziness, tripping and hallucinations, throwing up, vomiting, diarrhea, just crazy, out of control, all kinds of visions, thoughts, memories, people I need to talk to, forgive, things that have happened in my life. It was pretty nuts. It's kind of hard to try to shuffle it all together to figure out really what it meant, what it means, and I'm still trying to figure that out. But I've written it down in my journal so I can go back and try to relive it. But it was definitely one of the scariest times of my life, I must say. So it was kind of rough. Second night, I just did a quarter of a shot, and it was real mellow, kind of a couple of hours of just feeling good, a few visuals, and then a little bit of things in my life that I need to do. But yeah, other than that, hoping that tonight will be an equal balance of kind of in the middle of that. I don't want to go too extreme, and I don't want to go too easy on it, just because I want to try to talk to Mother Earth, and I want to see God, and I want to see what's going on with what's going on right now in this lifetime. If we're in the middle of a transition into a 4D dimension of the Earth, or what's going on, what my role is, and just kind of some truth to see what's happening, and to see how I can be more of a help to God and His kingdom, and bringing everybody together in peace and love, and making it happen, as opposed to what we're doing right now in this crazy world that we live in, full of evil. It's really the goal is to get rid of all that. But anyway, okay, cut. This will be a new highlight, I guess I was supposed to say. So a lot of people were asking me after my second God video that I video up in Torres de Paine, about what have I been doing since when I built my rig. I got all those things, and I went out in nature and lived. I didn't really talk about that, so I'm going to talk about that now. I did talk a little bit about some of the things that I'd done, quit drinking and caffeine and stuff like that, but I didn't really get into it. But so after I set out on my journey, I went to Moab, and that's when I really kind of started to find out really who I was, and try to discover myself, and just try to be free, just try to live without obligations, knowing that I had to go to work, I had to go make money, in order to live, and take care of my kids, etc. Yada yada. I just wanted to go out and just live free, just live freely, like figure out each day, like what do I want to do with myself today? What do I want to accomplish? In the midst of doing that, I do have to travel and get to where I had to go, in my rig, and pull on my Tacoma, and all that. So it is kind of it's a logistical deal. But once I set up the first time in Moab, this goes way back to like 21. I just set up, and I was still kind of working on the rig a little bit, just kind of doing some final touches and stuff. But after I would kind of take a break from doing that, then I was like, okay, I just kind of want to focus on what I want to do today. I just don't want to draw, don't want to write something. Do I want to go ride the mountain bike? Do I want to go jogging? or do I just want to take a nap and just relax or just drink coffee on the deck or whatever. But those are the kind of things that I was doing, and it's really nice to be able to do that. And I never had a chance in my life to ever do that because I was constantly working. I was constantly thinking about my kids, my wife, making people happy, making money, paying bills, doing all those things. So you never really get an opportunity. And I think most of you guys will know what I'm talking about and can relate to that. But yeah, so this is the first time in my life where I never really had a chance. I never really had to be anywhere, any kind of responsibility. I'm just on my own out here, not having to work, kind of like on vacation permanently, where I could just go, all right, what do I want to do now, you know? So that in itself is very liberating, and it's true freedom, and as well as not having anything to go back to, like a house, apartment, other things. So that was just amazing to know that everything that I had was with me, you know, and it wasn't much. And like I said, I downsized quite a bit. And it's all relative, you know, what people determine what downsizing means. And men, what am I trying to say here? I don't know what I'm trying to say. I had minimal things. I downsized quite a bit, and just had the basics that I need. But, you know, with some extra stuff. All my toys is what I call it, you know, my mountain bike. I had a kayak and, you know, fishing rods, skis, and kind of all the fun things with me. But anyway, so that's what I was doing, was just trying to live my life, just trying to see, like, what do I want to do, you know, just the freedom to do whatever you want to do, you know, during the day. And I tell you what, that's something to be said of itself. And I did a lot of praying to just say thank you, God, for showing me the way, for getting me to where I'm at now. I did do a lot of social media stuff, and people were kind of starting to follow me and go, oh man, what are you going to do? Like, what's next? And, you know, because they were still, you know, had their normal lives, their kids, jobs, etc. And so I was kind of one of those inspiring figures for them to just see what it's like, because I actually had never really followed anybody that was like that myself. So this was kind of a first for me, but it was really good that I could give back to people. And I'm kind of speaking for over the time that I've been doing this, but initially, you know, I had a lot of people that were interested in, like, hey, what are you going to do now? Oh my God, it's kind of cool, you know. And but yeah, so I started out just doing that stuff, and again, didn't really have a plan. I was just like, you know, when I get to this T, do I want to go left or right? I don't know. Figure it out when I get there, you know, and just see how I feel the day that I get there. I tried not to make any plans. The biggest plans that I really had was that I want to be in the south in the wintertime, and then I'll head up to the north in the summertime. Really, that's only in the mountains, because that's where I like to be. The desert it's full of dead things, and it is kind of nice change, but for me personally, it's just kind of a short-lived place to be, just because it's things are dead, and it's different when you're surrounded or in an environment where everything is dead, as opposed to where everything is alive and growing and living, and kind of like where I'm at right now in Peru. This place is phenomenal. It's full of life, and you can feel it. You can feel the energy. You feel better, happy, positive. But I did find when I was in the desert that it was just kind of negative. You know, you kind of look around and there's just not a lot of life. You know, and that does play a role mentally with you, whether you believe it or not. In my opinion. Let's see. So. Yeah, so I just started traveling around, and I was in the south because I started in November, December, and then I made my way down to Lake Havasu. I was down there for a little bit, still just trying to figure out, you know, how to live the way that I was living, kind of a minimalist way, and just trying to get used to the big change of not having a house, not having, you know, lights, a central heating system, you know, having to build a fire, turn on my in-floor heating, making sure I had kerosene, making sure I had water. You know, it's like RV life, you know, or van life. You got to make sure that you have everything that you need when you're on the road, and you can't have a large supply of it. You know, I mean, you can only have, you know, a certain amount of fresh water to drink, or what have you, or electricity, or you need to plug in or get solar or be somewhere where the sun's out. And then I started traveling north in the summertime, and I'll just kind of speak generally. I won't go into the details about all of it, but But in the summertime, I would go to the north, like the Tetons or Glacier. Those were my big two that I would go to, and I would just go up there and find a place in the national forest or BLM land where nobody could bother me, and I wasn't bothering anyone. And I would just kind of just park and set up there and just live, you know, just going hiking, just being out in the woods, sitting out on the deck, drinking coffee, just watching the wildlife, watching the birds and the animals, the elk, and the bears when I was up in the mountains and the Tetons, and just started writing a bio on just my life and just to kind of reflect, really just for myself, just to kind of reflect back on where I started and where I'm at now, and just kind of that whole in the middle there. Like the dash that you talk about, when you're born 1971 to up to death, right? That little dash there is everything in between, and those are the things that I wanted to kind of highlight and reflect in my mind that I've done just for myself, really, and then to kind of figure out a way forward. What do I want to do now? I don't know, but I just kind of wanted to get it all down on paper, and then I started drawing and painting again, like I did when I was younger in elementary school and high school. Just kind of, I was kind of an artsy kind of guy, and I just kind of wanted to get back into those things that I never had a chance to do when I was working. I was in my work stage, so I would do all those things. Fly fishing, I was big into fly fishing, mountain biking and stuff, and so I was doing that. One day I'd just go fishing for like 3 or 4 days and try to catch my meals and try to catch my food so I didn't have to go to the grocery store, clean the fish, eat the fish, I wish I'd have done more like collecting of berries and plants and stuff and to eat those. That's probably something that I'll do in the future, but I really wish I'd have. Foraging, I believe they call it. Don't hate me if I'm wrong on that. I think that's what it's called, foraging. But I'd really like to get into more of that stuff, to try to live a little bit more kind of off-grid style, if you will. Just because I believe in that, I believe in natural remedies and natural healing, like being in nature and grounding, being in the water, doing the cold plunge thing, stuff like that. So those are really that's kind of really what I was doing after I set off and I got rid of my apartment and set off in my snack pack and my box truck. And then in the meantime, and I had 2 years off from Southwest from working, and so it was just nice to be free and to not think about it. And I did this for 2 years, and I met a lot of people, a lot of really, really nice people on the road that had same mindset. And it's just really good to connect with them and talk about life and what's going on in the world, and how we feel that it's to deal with it, how to live, and my idea was to start like a homestead, to move off grid somewhere, try to find some land somewhere, and to just try to live off the land and try to disconnect and try to get rid of my phone, try to get rid of electronics and stuff like that, just because it's just so simple. It's just so much easier and so much stress-free and healthier, and so those were kind of the things that I was thinking about. After about 2 years, I got called back to work. It was really tough to go back to work, even though I still had a child in college, and I still have a younger daughter that is going to need money down the road and stuff. And I was like, I need to go back to work. So I made that decision to go back to work. It was tough. It's really, really hard because you forget a lot in 2 years. You really do. And flying jets, in 2 years' time, I was like, I don't even know what these buttons do anymore. I really didn't. I had no idea. I knew I had 2 wings, some landing gear, and window, and a bunch of buttons, and a throttle, and yada yada. But that's about it. Other than that, I had to kind of get back in the books and try to make myself relearn everything that I did. It came back eventually. The flying came back. It's just like riding a horse, riding a bicycle. You get back on it, and it's no big deal. But it did come back. So I got back into it. A lot of people were asking me, hey, are you going to get rid of your snack pack and get a house now and start working again? And I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to do that, just because I'm so happy over these past 2 years that I don't want to give that up. I want to give that stuff up. So the mindset was I'll park, depending on what year, I'll just kind of park near an airport. I'll take my Tacoma into work and then commute to, at the time I was in LAX. I was based out of there, and that worked. It worked fine. It was just kind of I guess I guess the way to explain it is, I'm in my happy place in nature. Like, you can hear the water right now. It's just so soothing. And I'd be out there for a couple weeks, and then I'm like, man, I gotta shave, I gotta get cleaned up, and make sure my uniform's clean, and then make sure I have everything that I need to fly. And then I would commute in. I'd fly to the nearest airport. When I was in Jackson Hole, I'd drive into the airport there, park, and then just commute with, I think it was Delta or United, down to LAX, and then get a hotel, start my 4-day trip, and I try to push my trips together so I could do a couple trips. And then so when I came back to Jackson Hole, I was back in the woods for a couple of weeks, and so I did this for a number of years. And it worked out. And again, like I said, I'd go south in the wintertime. And at one point in the winter, I was down in the Las Vegas area, out at Lake Mead. They have a recreational area, and you can kind of go out there, and nobody really bothers you. And I was kind of living out there, if you will. I'd have to move every now and then just for some of the rules, but it was just peaceful, and I was doing stuff around there and flying right out of Vegas. I moved my base to Vegas for a little bit, and just kind of nice. The pilot thing was very fortunate to be able to do that, because I was real flexible. I could move my base to kind of where I wanted to be, and then being able to fly on other airlines to get to work was kind of nice. But and then I would park my rig, and I'd take my vacation in the wintertime, just because I love the summer, and I kind of got out of the winter sports. I don't know why, but I just did. So I'd park my rig at a boat storage facility and my Tacoma, and I'd go on like a 2-month vacation. I did this for a couple years. This is the 3rd year that I've done it, except for a little bit different now. I'm out on medical. I'll talk about that here in a second. But so now I'm doing, this is like a 4-month vacation for me down in South America, and it's been the best thing in my life. It's just nice to have that extra money set aside that you save when you don't have a mortgage. You don't have, property taxes, just different insurances and things like that, electrical bills, and you're not paying all that money. So it's all saved up over the past 3.5 years, and so that's what I'm using the money for, and it's been just fantastic. But again, I go back. I did the living in the snack pack for like 3 years, and 22, 23. Yeah, so about, it's a couple years that I flew, and then I came to a point where I was upgrading to captain about 1.5 years ago or so, and I, for something in me, kind of was telling me that this is only going to be about, because people ask me, oh, dude, you need to be captain, and you're going to upgrade, and like, what's your plans? How much money you want to make, and what are you going to buy? And I was just like, what's your goal, in life? And I said, my goal is just to upgrade and do it for a little bit, just to say I did it, to be good at it, right? To get it, down, like just to be a really good captain over my time, to learn and to just to be a good captain, and then I said, and then I'll be done. That's my goal. That's my goal in life, to be done. And then and I got a lot of weird looks, like, what? Like, you just want to be a captain for a year and then quit? And I was like, well, that's really my goal. I don't need to go make billions of dollars. I don't want to, because if I do, then it's just going to accelerate my life till I'm 65 or 70, and then I'm not going to be able to do anything, and I don't really want to do that. And then what have I accomplished over that time? What the money that I made, what have I done with it? Have I built a ridiculous house that's out of control, or I have 4 houses, or an airplane and 5 cars or 2 cars? To me, that's not really worth it, because am I really happy? Or I don't think I am. I mean, maybe for some they are, but are they really? I don't know. I mean, I would question that, because for me, just living simple on having a simple life and is happiness for me. So and just having my health and being young and no stress, and being able to go mountain bike or hike or fish, that's what's important to me. So that's kind of why I was feeling like that. So, but anyway, to get back to what I'm saying, when I was doing my upgrade, something in my gut was telling me that this is not going to last forever. And this is I'm being completely honest with you. I didn't know that I was going to have any health issues coming up, but about a year into it or so, or 1.5 years, I can't remember, something like that. I started having some respiratory issues, and I was coming up on my medical. I was over 50, so I have to do the 6-month medical for flying now to maintain my status in the aircraft. So I went in and I talked to the flight doc, and he's like, I said, yeah, I'm having some problems breathing, and he said, oh, sleep apnea. I'm like, no, I'm awake. I can't breathe. I'm having problems, and it's causing me anxiety because I can't breathe. It's almost like really bad asthma. And it's horrible. And it went on for 2 months. There was weird sounds, crackling sounds coming out of my mouth from my lungs. And so I didn't really know what it was. And it was kind of scary. And but I went in and like I said, to go get my medical. And he's like, sleep apnea, and I'm like, no, I got to go. So I went to the VA in Salt Lake City and again to the emergency room, and they did an X-ray. And they said, yeah, we don't know what's going on. I'm like, hey, well, I got to press these guys because they're just going to let me go, and I can't breathe at night. This is a problem, and I'm having some dark thoughts at night when I can't breathe. I feel like I'm in a coffin, and it's horrible. So they got me a specialist pulmonologist, and then I did a CT scan, and then long story short, I'll fast forward. They found some emphysema, which I would call stage 2. They never really said. But if you have to go to the hospital emergency room for breathing, then it's considered a stage 2. I looked this up on my own, and but it was pretty rough. And so I went in, and they're looking at me, and it took them like 6 weeks to tell me anything, and except for the radiologist was like, hey, he needs to go in and get a scope because this looks pretty bad. And so I was just freaking out the whole time. But finally they were like, yeah, you don't need a scope, just here, take this inhalers and take these pills and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. So this was a big life change for me. And so I had I think it was a month and a half to get results or maybe it was 3 months to get sleep apnea results, test results, sleep results, lab tests, and all this stuff. But I couldn't get a test. I couldn't get a test for a long time. So it took, and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to have the information that you want in time. And they're like, well, sorry, we're going to pull your medical. And so I had to go talk to work and set up all this stuff with insurance and short-term disability. And then I was having to think about loss of license because I wasn't going to have the stuff in time. And then I was like, oh man, now I had all this new stuff with my lungs. And oh, by the way, I was having issues with vertigo. That crept up that I had way back in '99. I had a little bit when I was in Korea, and which was after my anthrax shots, which I think it had to have been related because I was getting the anthrax shots, and shortly right after that I started getting really bad vertigo where I was falling down and stuff. I was grounded for a while, but anyway, kind of went away. But it would show back up every 5 years or so, which is kind of strange. But anyway, so that came back as well. So I'm still waiting to send all this data into the FAA, as well as all my health records and all that stuff. So my last flight was in August. A lot of people think that I retired, and I didn't. And I'm just basically out on medical, and I'm still awaiting words back from the FAA. I kind of have a pretty good idea that they're going to say, yeah, you're done flying for life now. But that's why I pay insurance to to Southwest in order to cover me for that, as a loss of license and long-term disability. So that's what I've been doing in the meantime. I've just been waiting on the test results back from my sleep study, and I have another appointment in this summer, 25, for a second opinion on my pulmonologist, because I've got some friends that had the same thing that I have. It's from burn pits in Afghanistan, and they developed a cancer out of this, and I've read a lot about people that have gotten this and they've actually died from it. So it's kind of very concerning to me, and so I got a second opinion, but I haven't seen the doctor yet because they couldn't get me scheduled. But in the meantime, when I found out I had this was summer of 24, it hit me really hard, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna conquer this. I'm not gonna sit on the couch and sulk and play victim and just be, oh, poor me, I've got problems, I'm going to go conquer this. So what did I do? I threw all the medicine that they gave me for it in the garbage, and I drove up to Montana with my daughter for the summer, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna fix this through, and I did it through meditation, through prayer, being out in nature like I am right now, grounding, so taking my shoes off and just putting my feet in the ground and absorbing the energy from the earth. I was using a sauna every day. I was doing a cold plunge every day. And again, like I said, this was a lung problem. So, you know, people are like, well, how do you walk and hike and stuff? You know, can you breathe? I could breathe during the day. So what I wanted to do was try to increase my lung capacity and just try to overcome it, you know. So I just started out real slow, you know, walking, hiking stuff with my daughter. And we were doing 3-4 mile hikes in the beginning of the summer. And then we just pressed on to do a little bit more. And by the end of the summer, I was running half marathons. I was hiking 25-mile hikes during the week that I wanted to do. And I was also on a diet. We went on a kind of a fruit vegetable diet, and just like chicken and fish, and cut out sugar completely. That was my last thing that I needed to quit. I quit alcohol, caffeine, and sugar. That was the last one, or nicotine, and then so sugar was the last one. And I got to tell you, sugar is the hardest drug to quit. But as soon as I did it, within a week or 3 or 4 days, my face just shrunk up. It's unbelievable what sugar does to your body. But so off of sugar, drinking ionized water, high pH water, doing the sauna, praying every day to God, sticking my feet in the water, running, hiking, being with nature, being in the woods, completely healed me. So that I was no longer having these sounds coming out of my throat from my lungs, making the popping sound, like crackling. Well, the best way I can explain it is that it's like pop rocks. Like you take a whole bunch of pop rocks, you know, back in the day, and then drink like a Coke, and you get that sound coming out, you know. That's what it was. Well, anyway, that went away, and at night I was totally able to breathe, and it was almost like it was a blessing from God. I mean, that's how I healed myself. I went back to the doctor, and she's like, I don't know what you've been doing, but you need to keep it up. And I told her what I was doing, and she was just mesmerized. She's like, oh my gosh. A lot of people asked me about my issue with breathing, and they said, how did you fix it? And I said, I prayed. I recall one night, it was back, not last summer, but the summer before that when this started. And no, it was last summer. My bad. Is that right? I mean, I'm probably going to have to edit this. But anyway, the summer that it started, I could not breathe at night. It was I could barely breathe. It was horrible. I was freaking out. I had anxiety, so I said a prayer to God. And as soon as I said amen and laid my head back down on the pillow, I could breathe 50% better. And a lot of people don't believe me. I don't know. But that's what happened. So God works, okay? God totally healed me, and as well as his world out here, just nature is just unbelievable. So and I'm still feeling really good. I'm still healthy. I came to South America in December for my birthday, and I've been down here ever since, and because it's summer down here, and I've just been hiking and just being out in nature and just having the best time of my life, because I don't know when it's going to end. It could end tomorrow. I don't know, something could happen, you know, with my lungs, and I don't want to regret that I didn't get out and live my life and do some of the things that I wanted to do. I'd never been to South America, and I wanted to see it. I wanted to go to Antarctica. I did it. I wanted to go to Easter Island. I did it. I just, you know, Machu Picchu, all these things I've done because I just want to do it. I want to live my life because I don't know when my last day is. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. Yes, I'm still out on medical leave. I hope to find out more here in the next couple of months. In May is when I have my next appointment. And then after that, I'll send in everything to the FAA and see what I get back. And then and that way I'm going to know, you know, what the rest of my life is going to look like. But I'm hoping that I can continue to do things like this, and I maintain my health. But in order to do that, I've got to continue doing this stuff. I can't get lazy, and I can't lay off of, you know, being outside, being out in nature, and doing the things that I want to do that make me happy. And this stuff makes me happy. And the message that I want to get across from all this stuff is that God is good, and He does really good things, and you just got to ask for it. Okay, it's totally free. He doesn't hold things against you. If you've done bad things in your life, it doesn't mean that you can't go to God. Okay, you can ask for forgiveness. He will forgive you 100%, and you can start living your life today and just get out of the system, get out of the matrix, get out of the slavery, go live your life, cut your expenses, and try to save money and try to figure out a good financial plan so you can go do the things that I'm doing right now. And I wish each and every one of you a blessed path in your life just to be happy. And so with that, I'm going to close this and say God bless. I love you. Love all of you. Spread my love, and that's my goal. My goal is to continue traveling, continue meeting people on the road, and spreading my love to everyone, because love is the key to life. Okay, if we all possess love and we get rid of evil and bad thoughts in our lives, this world will be a better place, and we will totally kill all the evil, and we're going to be living in heaven on earth. It's going to be the most amazing thing ever. So I love you.